Check, check, check. Mic check.
Konane, no checkers here.
Check, check.
No konane.
Got to do plenty research today. Plenty. 3 minutes late. We just got to work through some issues. Kako.
Mm. Mm.
Aloha kakahi aka kako. Aloha e nā hoa maka maka o ko Hawaii pai aina. Aloha e Hawaii nui o ke ave. Aloha e Maui nui a kama. Aloha e Molokai nui a hina. Aloha e o ahu nui a lua no kakuhi hewa. Aloha e kaua I mano kalani po. Welcome to this issue of Hawaiian Kingdom News Live. 7 days of headline news in 60 minutes. The dark side of Hawaiian politics. 127 years of continued illegality in the Hawaiian Kingdom.
Alright.
Ko Hawaii pai aina. And now, with the national crisis for the weather.
Aloha kako, moko keawe. Weather report for this week, Saturday, May 9th, 2019. Starting out in Powilo, our high is 70, our lows is 64. Down out in Hilo'one, our highs today is 74, lows 68 with a lot of overcast and it looks rainy. Out in Pohoa Town, we have our highs 72, our lows 65. It looks very cold out in our Pohoa way also. Down out in Nalehu, it's pretty sunny. Your highs is 79, your lows is 72. Out in South Kona, your highs is 80 and your lows is 74. Out in Kailua, your highs is 82 and your lows is 76. And out in Waikoloa, you got your high at 679 and low 68. And that is your weather from Moko Keawe and your Mauna Kea weather update. If you guys do go up, please be very advised. It does have an overcast. It looks like Tutu will be raining today. So dress warm and be informed. And out on your surf report, out in your south, it's a small 2 to 3. Out in your north, it's a 4 to 5 feet. And your hilo is flat to 1. So enjoy your social distancing and please enjoy your phase 1 of reopening Kako. Dark side of Hawaiian politics weather. Now back to DJ Derbs for the Mana Olelo for this week.
Aloha kakahi aka kako. Before the mana olelo, we gotta do the mana ali'i. Ka meha meha e kahi kalani pai ea wohi o ka leikini ke ali'i ku I ka meha meha o Iolani I ka iwi kapu kau I ka liho liho kūnu ia kea.
Eho.
Passed away, it says, during May 8th, somewhere between May 8th and May 14th. The great founder of the Hawaiian Kingdom, Kamehameha e Kahi, who created the Hawaiian Kingdom, who united the Hawaiian people in unity to create an internationally recognized nation state born from Keku'ia Po'iwa and Keoa Kalani Kupupua, I Kalani Nui. Our Hawaiian families are still here today. Descendants are still here today. And we're working towards his legacy of an independent Hawaiian nation state. So some of the things that's mentioned in his lifetime was, of course, reuniting the islands, but in 1789, the Olowalu massacre by the Fair American, Kako. You got to read that story.
The Fair American.
And don't forget, after he united the islands and planted kalo on the east side of Oahu after he devastated it through the Nu'uanu War, he came back to Kamakahonu on the island of Hawaii to establish the capital of the Hawaiian Kingdom nation state, Kanai'aupuni. So that is our mana olelo for today. It's Kanai'aupuni. One of his names throughout his lifetime, first Pai'ea, Kamehameha, Kanai'aupuni, and he passes Kunuiakea. And we got to realize that some of the olelo or the mo'olelo said that when he passed, they buried the Aikapu with him because he was such a great ali'i that has never been seen before, lifting up the Naha stone and various things like that. So na'i means to conquer, take by force, conqueror. O Kamehameha Kanai'aupuni. Kamehameha, the conqueror of the nation. So not only did he conquer the nation to make us be as one, but his descendants, Kamehameha Elua, Ekolu, Eha, Elima, created the independently neutral nation state called the Hawaiian Kingdom. So when you look up Aupuni, it means government, kingdom, dominion, nation, people under a ruler, national, Aupuni, Emepela, empire, and it goes on and on. But you put the two together, Na'i, Aupuni. Kamehameha the Great is the founder of the Hawaiian Kingdom. He created the legacy, along with all of the supporting family members on all of the islands that were all related to one another. Don't forget that, Kako. The first time you see it, June 12, 1895, Kaleo Okalahui, it says, Mehela makanana aku ua kuikahi na aloha aina me na po'e kahi aina makamalamaa na I ka lā na'i aupuni o ka mua o Kamehameha e kahi ka na'i aupuni mo I o ka lua no Mr. Dole ka na'i aupuni Republika. Oh, how's that, Kako? So you gotta look out for these colonizers.
Yes.
And that's why today's issue is the Kanaka colonizer. So this issue is about Mr. Dole taking Kamehameha's Hawaiian name and Americanizing it, going Kanai'aupuni Republika. And that is an illegal entity, Kako. They were the ones to imprison our queen, point guns to our palace, and they're taking our name. So you got to watch how they play these name games.
Yeah.
And similar to, I think, tonight at 6 p.m., Ola Kahaloa, Oha's new station is coming out. Oh, sorry, I jumped the gun, Kako. But that's our mana, ali'i. Let's remember Kamehameha the Great, founding the Hawaiian Kingdom, and it got illegally occupied, and we need to return it to its natural, peaceful state, Kako. That's your mana olelo for the day, Kanai'aupuni.
Mana
Sorry, went off a
olelo.
little bit.
No. Kanai'aupuni. Mahalo, DJ Derbs, the Ike, and the importance of Kamehameha is very encouraging and very inspiring. So, thank you, DJ Derbs, for the mana olelo. Now,
And Uncle Keone, you got anything to share
Uncle
about our
Keone.
Na'iaupuni, Kamehameha?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Kamehameha, he united, all of the islands under one rule, and then at what time he actually asked the British government, the UK, to be to protect the Hawaiian Kingdom, and so at one time we were all British subjects. So we need to just remember that, and if you look at the legacy from Kamehameha the First all the way to the Fifth, they all implemented to be a neutral country and an independent nation state where we wasn't actually dependent on foreign countries, and we should continue to do that. We continue to strive to be an independent state and always bring up the illegal occupation from the U.S. government. And at the same time, we shouldn't take handouts from the occupiers, from the state, the county, or the federal level. We guys need to wean off from the American milk.
The cornerstone, mahalo cornerstone for our Mano Olelo to start us off. And some things to contemplate and some things to reflect on. But now we must move forward. For this week's episode 25th, Darkside of Hawaiian Politics, Hawaiian Kingdom News, Smash or Pass, Kako. DJ Derbs, first up for our Smash or Pass this week is
Ola Kahaloa Oha is their first launching of their 6 p.m. Saturday live stream on HawaiianNewsNow.com. It's today. KGMB, Hawaii News Show, Ola Kahaloa. So I gotta go back to my reading today is Mr. Do Kanaiau Puni Republika. And now OHA is launching their news station. And we know about the mass fake news and how it affects the people. So during Sanford B. Dole's time, I think it was Thurston who was the editor of the Pacific Commercial Advertiser, and the news stations that used to dominate the media and slowly eat up and start canceling Hawaiian Kingdom newspapers and to control the media. So since then, Thurston, all the way till now in the news, we have another Thurston, a descendant, controlling the news also. So when you watch Ola Kahaloa, if they do not mention the illegal occupation, if they do not mention the illegal overthrow of the Hawaiian Kingdom and honor Kamehameha first, all I can say is the best it can be is colonized news. So you got to come out with the oya i'o. You got to say the truth. And you always got to question the motives and the nonprofits and the money-making schemes that has been occurring over a century to get our Hawaiians not to share the truth, to lie, Kako. So, Ola Kahaloa, I can just assume because it's coming out of OHA 1978, which came out of 1959, which came out of 1895, Republika, Mr. Dole, is all a genealogy of illegality and fraudulent schemes and law violations. So I got to give it a smash. First time I'm going to give Haloa a smash. Smash, Haloa. Smash, smash.
KP, the cornerstone.
All right. So if you look at Office of Hawaiian Affairs, they are an extension of the U.S. occupation. Every person or anybody who represent any island, when they are elected, they swear an oath to who? The Hawaiian Kingdom? Or they swear an oath to the United States Constitution and the state of Hawaii? They actually swear an oath to the occupiers. So they are obligated under contract to, to share fake news. So this new episode of OHA's Saturday news is going to be all fake news. Are they going to talk about the truth? Are they going to talk about the 127 years of U.S. occupation in the Hawaiian Islands? Are they going to talk about the lands that is actually being withheld from our people, the natives? Are they going to talk about that, or are they just going to gloss over and talk about simulating in the American system and voting in the U.S. elections and
American
the Hawaii County election, which is it's an occupation.
Genocide.
Right.
Yeah, it's genocide, it's war crimes. So, people need to actually, understand that they're going to just blow smoke up, where.
Indoctrination.
Right? So you guys need to understand that we talk about the dark side of Hawaiian politics, the true
Americanization.
politics that's happening right now in Hawaii.
Brainwash.
All this circus, atmosphere. You get ringleaders like Ige, Spicy Kimchi. All these guys is all occupying governmental governmental,
Assimilation.
representing the U.S. occupation. So you guys got to understand what is real news and what is fake news. That's all I have to say. But for OHA, I'll give you guys one smash.
KP, the Cornerstone, DJ Derbs. This is what OHA should talk about tonight. On their first episode, they should talk about a man traded child porn, prosecutors say. 45-year-old YL elementary teacher goes by the name of Keith Kalaniakana, pleaded not guilty for this serious offense. And basically, OHA, right off the top, mahalo to Adam Keave Manalo Camp for bringing this dark side up. If you followed him, this individual predator or offender is registered. But OHA says, come on, learn about the Vahipana and stories of places of Hawaii in special presentation by Kumuhula Dr. Kalani Akana, cultural specialist at the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, headquarters Oahu. Tune in to Lea Anui Nui webinar series Connected People and Culture, Thursday, May 7th at 9 a.m. with Kanaio Kana on Facebook page. So, Kako, that's what they should be reporting on, is how did they get this offender the Starlight Show before they launched their first news show? Yes, and guess who is his attorney? Mr. Sam King Jr. Yes, your American Sam King Jr., Kako. This is what OHA should be presenting tonight, but they use our most sacred brother, Haloa, to present this kind of predator. Unbelievable that they want to use our elder brother, our firstborn Ali'i, to launch the campaign with this kind of extreme credentials, Kako. Real simple from KP, DJ Derbs. Don't you guys ever use Haloa in the same breath as your fake news, as the crisis actors will get exposed daily. So, mahalo to Adam, who launched this first. Credit is due when information is so powerful about who is reporting and how are they reporting and what platform they're using to perform these crisis actors. Next up on the chopping block, DJ Derbs, we got
Star advertiser. Hawaii teachers inundate Board of Education with testimony against pay cuts. So the Kanaka colonizer strikes again, Kako, in the form of, even though more than 900 Hawaii public school teachers pleaded and submitted testimony, many teachers said a 20% pay cut. Where does this 20% come from again, Kako? The Kanaka colonizer. Why? Because Kailua High School teacher says, you'll lose teachers by the hundreds because we simply can't afford to live here. So this is just another attack on the truth, Oya I'o, in education, about the Americanization, assimilation, indoctrination, brainwash program that's been happening here for over a century. Right. And now you got to sweep out the foot from the people who know, which are the teachers, which are the educators, take 20% of their cut in pay, and now they got to leave because they know that it's time to resolve the 127-year illegality. So I do not support 20% pay cut. Take 20 from Igiat, Kirk Maudwell, all of those other usurpers that's been benefiting from our stolen lands and our stolen rents. They put money from their paychecks.
Ayo.
Smash.
KP, where does the 20% come?
The 20% come. What we need to understand and look at is the origin. Ever since the United States government occupied our country for 127 years, and they fabricated the 50th state, the people who's running the 50th state is like running this Hawaiian Islands like a third world country. They don't even follow their own laws, and they're only looking out for themselves, the government officials. The backbone and the future lies within our keiki. The backbone is the teachers. They are the ones who are teaching the future generations. And we need to actually take care of the teachers and not, take a 20% cut on their behalf, on their income. It should come first from the government officials who's running the youth-occupied state in the Hawaiian Islands, and not the teachers. And it's so wrong. And as I say, you look at this this so-called government, the state of Hawaii. They don't even follow their own laws, and they're only looking out for themselves. Even with the situation of C-19, it's money first, and the welfare of the general public in the Hawaiian Islands is second. So you know what? I give them a smash.
Kako. Yes, Kako. Teachers get threatened again from David Dung Beetle Ige, continuing his shit show and pushing around all of the duru and the kukai from this dung beetle. He has no sympathetic for our educational capacity of our future. He makes over 150,000 lapchongs in 1 year, but he still continues to run a shit show. And so we're not going to be able to do this and follow his mandate, because I hope the teacher union is up in arms with their lawyers so they can recover 20% because of his irresponsible stupidity ideas, where he thinks he can just go ahead and take from our keikis and our future generation on how our state and our nation is going to be stabilized. It's going to be stabilized through proper education from our communities, because right now this 20% cut is unacceptable, and we should be up in arms, and we should be telling him that the 20% will come from his constituents up at Haole Palace.
Right.
And that is a simple smash on the 20% cut that should come out of the dung beetle's predecessors. Next up on the chopping block, DJ Derbs. We have
ESPN.com. Bellator champ Ilimale McFarlane files suit alleging sexual abuse by former school coach. That came out a week ago. Kanaka colonizer in this situation is the most dangerous Kanaka colonizer. Actually, the training ground.
Yes.
For the Kanaka overthrowers, the Kanaka colonizer, the Kanaka Americanizer, the Kanaka assimilator, the Kanaka genocider, Punahou School, Kako. Punahou School was given to them by our Ali Iboki, who had the RPLCA in the area,
Ayo.
saying that he was going to train these foreigners to support the Hawaiian Kingdom.
Right.
But yet, the ones trained stabbed the Hawaiian Kingdom in the back, Kako. They overthrew, undersnuck, sneakily stole the Hawaiian Kingdom, who was trained at Punahou School. So when a MMA Bellator Hawaiian
champ,
give me the 1-2 pum pum, McFarlane files, and not only her, a group of women, Kako, on a Punahou School coach. Yeah, they file, and what happens this week, Kako? Something that's been happening to Hawaiians for over a century. Her father gets fired. That's been working there for 30 years, who has the same job in 30 years. All of a sudden, her daughter cries abuse, and he gets fired. And that's exactly what's been happening to Hawaiians by Kanaka colonizers for over a century, Kako. When we cry foul, when we cry penalty, when we cry out of bounds, we get fired, Kako. Yeah. How disgusting is this dominance, power, genocide, indoctrination, all of those words, Kako, suppressing our Kanaka people. So Punahou colonizer structural program, you're gonna get a big smash from DJ Derbs today. Smash on Punahou.
KP, you've been around for a while, KP. Do you see a
Punahou
trait?
school is not business as usual. You know, you stem from the from the days of the U.S. occupation, and just because you're a product of the insurgency that occupied the Hawaiian Kingdom, you're not the law. There is law out there, and what you did is so unfair. Injustice is what happened in your school, and one of your students who actually came out in public, and your response is firing her father in response to the illegal activities that took place on your campus.
Disgusting.
It is totally disgusting.
Gross injustice.
Yeah. So I give Punahou School a smash.
KP, the cornerstone, just like DJ Derbs described, Chief Boki, under the royal patent, the mission was for the cornerstone to be set for our Kanakas and those who are coming to the Hawaiian Kingdom to get educated of our policies and kingdom law. This was not a call foul. This was a federal violation to our women, and not only our women, one of our dear champs, that these schools have continued. And there was another article today, you guys can go search up, that copped in yesterday, that another, I think it was the football coach that got fired for the same fumbles that they had, yeah? And that's why a sorry is not good enough, yeah? We need to heal our family members, and by canning a 30-year employee without due process is not the way to go about it. But we see a mass trend of our, I call them kia'is, warriors, who step up and speak of these horrific stories about their predators. And for me, I gotta give a pass for McFarland for stepping up like a champ and smashing Punahou. And for me, I have to follow the champ's lead, and I have to smash on Punahou, because these fools continue to not only discriminate and disrespect our wahine ali'is, they actually go after their families after they are found guilty of those that stepped up and put it on them.
Yeah.
Smash. Next up on a chopping block, before we get into it, we have to get to our South Pacific Hawaiian Kingdom news update with our COVID-19, and after our international politics with Cornerstone Kupuna Pono.
All right, good morning. First off, I'm going to cover the COVID-19 update in the South Pacific. All right, so first off, we're going to go with Aotearoa. They have a total number of 1,490. So they're actually stabilizing in Aotearoa. American Samoa, because of their strict rules, they have 0 cases thus far. Same as the Cook Islands, they have 0 cases. For Guam, because of the U.S. military installations, and also because of tourism, they're up to 151 cases so far. In Fiji, they are stabilizing for almost a month now with just 18 cases of COVID-19. So that's really good in Fiji. In the Hawaiian Kingdom, we have a total count of 629 cases of COVID-19 because of the U.S. occupation, the military installation, and also ongoing tourism that's actually coming into the Hawaiian Islands. For the Kingdom of Tonga, they have 0 cases. Kiribati, 0 cases. Marshall Islands, 0 cases. Micronesia, they have 0 cases. Nauru, 0 cases. because all of these island nations have strict policy of no tourists coming into their island nations. For New Caledonia, they're stabilizing for almost a month and a half now with just 18 cases. As we go to Niue, they have 0 cases. For the Northern Marianas, for almost a month now, they're kind of like stabilized with just 14 cases of COVID-19. As we go to Palau, they have 0 cases. We go to Papua New Guinea, they're actually stabilizing at just 8 active cases. So that's really good. As we move along to the Solomon Islands, they have 0 cases. Samoa, 0 cases. For Tahiti, they have 2 additional cases for a total count of 60 active cases of C19. Tokelau, they have 0 cases. Tuvalu, 0 cases. And finally, Vanuatu at 0 cases. So if you look at Polynesia, it looks like it's stabilizing, and whereas you just the total count and the most COVID-19 cases you'll find well over 100 is in Aotearoa and also in the Hawaiian Kingdom. So that's the C19 South Pacific news. Okay, as we move along in other news in the Pacific, we have this late breaking news from Radio New Zealand from Fiji.
Mm-hmm.
Fiji woman is the first Pacific counsel to the International Criminal Court by Lisa Williams. Fiji lawyer Ana Tui Kete Polopu has become the first Pacific counsel on a global roster working with the International Criminal Court, the ICC, in The Hague. Her admission to a cadre of more than 800 senior legal practitioners from all over the globe was confirmed last week, and her profile and detail will be added to the ICC online database this month. Ms. Bolabu, a Suva-based former prosecutor, accepted an offer to be an addition to the ICC list of duty counsels. I was excited, she said, of the news of her admission. I just thought, what a boost for the Pacific, what a boost for women lawyers, and yes, because I'm a product of the University of the South Pacific.
Yeah. First ever.
Yes.
Manawahine.
So that's our first news coming out of Fiji.
ICC.
So it's really good that we have
Stand up.
someone from
The South Pacific
the South
Kingdom.
Pacific that is going to represent us in the ICC, and
Kako, if you guys see her or if you guys got a Facebook friend, tell them come and visit the Hawaiian Kingdom. Come kuka.
Yeah. So so now we have at
have
least
an ally.
We have an ally
A manawahine.
in the ICC. So it's really good that we have one of our own in the ICC at The Hague. Okay, the next news, it comes from Radio New Zealand from French Polynesia. France returns Papaete military site to the French Polynesia.
It's called restoration. They're restoring
France
it.
has formally ceded its former naval command center in Papaete to French Polynesia. The transfer was signed by the French High Commission, Dominique Soran, and the French Polynesian President, Edouard Fritsch. The 3,300 square meters site of the Papaete waterfront, worth more than the U.S. $6 million, has been earmarked for information and documentation center to commemorate the legacy of French nuclear weapons testing. as we recall, a lot of our brothers and sisters from the French Polynesia was casualties because of radiation, and a lot of them who was actually had radiation was sent to France to die. So in French Polynesia, they kept the death rate of the exposure down. So we just need to, give a hats off to the French to return the former military sites to the French Polynesia. And finally, we have a story out of Samoa. The masses returned to church in Samoa. After nearly 2 months of not hearing church chorus singing hymns due to COVID-19 restrictions, Samoans piled into church buildings Sunday morning in unusual large numbers. The streets was once again whitewashed with flashy Sunday best attire.
Yes,
Inside
yes,
one
yes.
church
The
of
house is
Apia,
open. Halepule is open.
There was additional, as practitioners looked around to see who would be the first to observe the 2 meter social distancing rule. But with more and more arriving, it was soon evident that this was not going to happen. So it's very good that, in Samoa,
That must have been a beautiful sight with all the beautiful Sunday's best attire for taking a 1 month hiatus, because
Yeah.
our Samoan family really loves church.
and what's really good is that as you was following our news, as we gave an weekly update of the COVID-19 in the South Pacific, Samoa has no COVID-19, people infected. So it's a really beautiful place. When I was down there in the early 1990s, it was really a religious place.
Yep.
Every
Yes.
Sundays we would go to church
It's
with
mandated.
your Sunday best, and you couldn't buy any alcohol on
And
Sunday.
you cannot even play on the streets while church is in service.
Yes.
Yes.
And as I recall, I stayed there for probably, I think it was 6 weeks. So
Put some
just
respect
before the sun would set, everybody would be off the streets
Right.
to pay respects. And what happened is that
Yes.
you would be pulled into anyone's house.
Yes.
You would actually do a prayer with them, with the
Right.
families over there, and they would offer you dinner.
Mm.
You would eat with them. And that was so amazing as they would share their culture with other Polynesian brothers and sisters.
Seems like a way forward, Kako, for the Hawaiian Kingdom after this COVID time is return to that.
Oh, yes, because if you look at our constitution under the Hawaiian Kingdom, we was a Christian country. And the Protestant religion was the official religion. If you look in the constitution, you'll find that. So we was a religious country, and we would actually one of the members of the family of nations, because we were because we was a Christian country.
And what we got to remember, Kako, is the Hawaiian version of Christianity.
Yes.
Yeah, the usurpers, they were descendants of the original missionaries. And so you cannot really blame the religion itself only, but it's really the usurpers that colonized the Kanaka. That's why this video episode is the Kanaka colonizers.
Right. So as you know history, when the missionaries came over here, we didn't have any religion for a year. We never have any religion because of the Aikapu. It was gone already. So we had almost a year of no religion. So when the missionaries came over, who did they actually convert over to be pastors? It was ali'is. Because why? Because people would follow the ali'i. So as more and more of ali'is would become pastors, more people was going to the to the Christian religion.
Honoring Kamehameha Ekahi, honoring the great works of Kamehameha, his passing, burying the Aikapu, and then no religion to recognize and mourn our foundation of the Hawaiian Kingdom and its constitutions is appropriate today. Mahalo, KP. Mahalo for that insight from the Hawaiian Kingdom.
KP for the
Well-
South Pacific
Well,
Kingdom news.
that's it for the South Pacific news. Stay tuned for next week Saturday for more news from the South Pacific.
Yes, KP. And just like what DJ Derp said, mahalo, because Arzon 2 just occurred, our 200 years, right, Henry?
Opukaha'ia
Yes.
from Keala Kekua
200 years to this date.
continues to rest now at Kahikolu
Yes.
in Keala Kekua, the first halepule
Yes.
to be built on the west side
And not
of the Hawaiian
only
Kingdom.
and not only that, he was a different type of Christian, right? He was a Hebrews Bible that he helped convert over to translate.
interpret
Yes.
into Olelo Hawaii, whose uncle was the kahuna of Hikiau Heiau there, and that's how he was sent to the east coast of Pilgrim land or genocide land of the Indians over there.
Go
to
ahead
learn
and
this religion.
Go ahead and research Anakala and this 200-year legacy, because this is what we're trying to share, the significance and how our ali'is were used in these manners. Thank you, KP. Our last four on the chopping block for this week. Next up to bat, DJ Derbs. We got, here we go.
ACLU admonishes county for clearing Hilo encampment. So you remember, Kako, the CDC, the WHO, these organizations around the world said not to clear houseless people, not to clear homeless communities because of the emergency proclamation and emergency situation we're in COVID-19, and just somehow the kimchi is so hot and spicy.
And rotten.
Hawaii County government officials and workers, I guess, go and clean out one of the protected areas under the United Nations in this situation, houseless people. So I can't find it in me to dehumanize people more than already being severely dehumanized by not having a shelter, a house, or place to stay, but actually move them in this time of crisis to actually, to me, spread COVID-19 in more of the houseless communities. Because where do you think they're going to go? They're going to go to where all of their friends and families that's houseless are, and they're going to spread it even more. So this is just a humanitarian violation that is just beyond me, and mahalo pass to the ACLU for bringing this up because it is a violation of human rights, Kako.
KP,
Well,
ACLU.
The ACLU, mahalo for bringing that up front and expose, the occupiers. Because like I say again, you know what? They may have actually laws and rules, but the occupiers, they don't follow laws and rules. They just follow what they want to do. And we need other establishments or organizations to step it up and expose all of this, nonsense, because every person, even under international law, have a right to live safely. And why?
Mamaloha kanavai.
Right. So why would you actually go beyond the call and start to actually disperse people who's actually living in a safe area, and they're not bothering anybody, but you want to go in there and disrupt people from living there? A lot of them actually, they have no place to go. So as you dismantle this so-called encampment, you only creating more problems. What's the solution? Did you have any solution where you could actually put these people in safe places where they can live out of the elements, out of danger? No, you just went in there, disrupted them, and now what? It's like you get a black eye. You know why? The ACLU went after you.
Yes,
So
yes.
I give the occupying government a smash.
Kako, we talked about this when it broke. We're talking about it again because we called it as we seen it. It was a clear federal violation during a time of an emergency proclamation, led by Harry Rotten Spicy Kimchi and his sidekick Joseph Kashmela Shmela, which this guy is a character. He continues to be corporate counsel, right, which is being overseen by Mitch the Sloth Roth, right? And they're allowing this because Mitch Roth, even though he's not in this with Harry and Kashmela Shmela, Mitch Roth is the lead prosecuting attorney guy. He could have put an end to this shenanigans. He could have said, stand down. We are in desperate times. But no, Mr. Sloth wants to be our mayor. And he allows this kind of raids during this emergency proclamation. Hawaiian people, you better get ready. Your $250 because your trespassing on Mauna Kea is coming up. These guys are ramping up the stupidity and all the things that they continuously do in front of your face during an election time. So if you feel like you got the power with that vote, go ahead and assert it. Assert it in the right direction. Go with the younger one because these dinosaurs gotta go. They come with this mentality of crude oil that continue to stain the legacy of our future generation. And that we have to smash on Harry Spicy Kimchi, Joseph Kashmela Shmela, and Mitch Sloth Roth for continuing to pillage during an economic and a crisis upon our pandemics. And that is a smash, but I have to give a pass to ACLU for following the laws. We commend you how you guys put your foot down upon Harry's old dinosaur tactics. Next up on the chopping block, DJ Derbs. We got
Hawaii News Now top story. Laid off workers, shuttered businesses plead for emergency relief as desperation grows. In February, the unemployment rate in Hawaii was just 2.6%, and then it blew up to a 224,000 jobless claims since March. The rate stands about 34%, Kako. The Hawaiian Kingdom would never do this to you, Kako. The Hawaiian Kingdom would ensure that every single person's humanity would be intact, Hawaiian or not. Every single's humanity would be intact. That's basic needs, Kako.
Yes.
That's water, shelter, food, Kako. We would not, the Hawaiian Kingdom would not expunge houseless communities during an emergency pandemic, Kako. If anything, we'd be providing them homes, Kako, and a little place to garden so they can grow their own food, of course. Nobody gets a free ride. Yeah, everybody got to hana a little bit. But money is not the determinant that'll expunge you or expel you from your home, Kako.
Yes.
Because the Hawaiian Kingdom humanitarian principles and foundations embedded in the Kumu Kanawai from 1840 all the way to now is just the best in the world, Kako. So that's where our future is. So don't vote for a dinosaur. Vote for the young guys to bring in the new, fresh ideas so we can move the Hawaiian Kingdom forward in peace, tranquility, and economic best in the world. That's what we can do, Kako. So I got to give police, laid off workers, a pass, thanks for filing, and a smash for the computer program not working, overloaded.
KP, computer overload story.
Okay, what I found out firsthand is like, all this computer overload is unnecessary. So what I heard firsthand is that, let's say if we look at the unemployment, okay? So if you're trying to get unemployment, it takes a long time, and there's only a small window where you can actually go online. But what is really backwards, I would say third world country mentality, is that when the all of this stuff electronically is actually accepted within the government system, instead of just putting everything, using it to speed up the process, they don't. What they do is that by hand now, they're reading every application and they put them in the computer again. So it doesn't make any sense. And it takes longer for people who needs money, by doing this unnecessary step of looking at all the stuff that was submitted through the unemployment by citizens in the Hawaiian Islands, and now the workers at the unemployment office, now they're actually putting everything in manually. So it doesn't make sense. It's so backwards, and they should alleviate this. They should actually hire people who's competent to actually speed up the process and fire all these people from the top. Because who's suffering is that the people who lives in these islands that need the money. And now, there's only a small window of opportunity to file your claims. I think it was like 3 hours. It's so backward. They should leave it open for 24 hours, not 3 hours, 5 hours. But you need to help the people, not help yourselves. So, I give the, occupying government smash.
KP said it so eloquently. 136,000 jobless claims, and they paid just under 97,000 kako. I believe that's a lie. I believe that data is a pump fake, because only this week, just like how KP said, they're going backwards when they're going to give it in alphabetical when you should be able to apply now, which I think should have been implemented in the beginning of the process. But once again, this is just another scam coming from the Dung Beetle, Ige Fernandez show, the shit show that continues to go on. They're just pimping out. They're just stealing from everybody's tax dollars. This is really an old game of throwing out false numbers of 2.6 or 34%, and all of these weak numbers with no conclusion. So, Kako, without even confusing you guys, when you see all these dinosaurs stealing and not returning your emails or not even answering your phone calls, Kako. It's not me for tell you the stats. It's for you to know that this is the game. You have an insurance card, an HMSA card in your pants pocket, but when you go to make a doctor's appointment, they say, we don't have a doctor for you, right, KP? So this is the same business as usual. We have all of these supposedly insurances and supposedly great government that when you need your medical, HMSA will tell you they have no doctors, they have a doctor shortage. And when you say, you know what, they opened up this unemployment center where we could receive our benefits that we earned, go ahead and sign up, and nobody can sign up. Typical scam, Kako. So with a typical scam, we give them a typical smash, just like always, business as usual. Next up on the chopping block, DJ Derbs. Our last two is...
Coming in hot this morning, Star Advertiser, Saturday, May 9th, Honolulu Police Commission allows public viewing. So Honolulu Police Commission Chairwoman Shannon Alivaro said the commission staff will continue to research alternative methods to allow the public to view the meetings. Kako, sunshine law, Kako.
Sunshine.
Be transparent. Shine the light on the gas light and expose it all, Kanaka colonizers. So that's why we need to see what's happening with this police commission. So I just got to give her a big fat pass in the pass area to allow us to the Honolulu Commission public meetings, Kako. Pass.
Pass. KP, Cornerstone, Commission Chairwoman Shannon, the Cannon.
Well, first of all, as we all know, we're under, 127 years of U.S. occupation, and the current government is lawlessness. Even when they have laws that they created, they don't follow their own laws. And every time when they want to go into, executive session, they want to actually do something crooked. So we need to have people to call them out. And you cannot go behind back doors and make backdoor deals. These days are over with.
Yeah.
We, as a people, occupied people, we need to stand forward and always question authority, especially the U.S. occupation government, their authority, which they have none. They only have authority based on the military. That's all they have. The military force. Yeah. We have laws. We need to stand on the laws. We cannot actually assimilate to become Americans. We need to understand that we are always a Hawaiian subject first, and that matters. So I give the Wahine one pass, and I give all these backdoor specialists a smash.
There you go, KP. So, Commission's chair, looking at alternative ways to let the sun shine on the dung beetle. But you see how they're so maneuvering with blaming. We were going to talk about it. We're going to catch it next week. But similar to the Maui case, the hearings, when the hearings go great and you hear it and then it goes flatline, right? DJ Derbs, then you get a time over. You cannot hear the arguments, and then you cannot hear the facts being stated. It's almost like they were waiting for this opportunity to blame technology while the Sunshine Law is being avoided.
Right.
Because with this time and day of technology, there should be no excuse why we cannot see and hear everything what's going on in the chambers. Right, KP?
Of course, yeah.
And so I just got to give our commission's chair, Shannon, the Cannon, the pass, because yes, think harder. How we're going to get there? What does it look like? Because when this COVID is over, the DHHL and OHA meetings will be raging.
Oh, yes.
This thing will be raging so bad that we will have to have these kind of meetings open to viewing of public and Sunshine Law. And for all of those who continue to do the deals in the back door with the dung beetle, Ige Fernandez show, it's a simple smash, just like KP said. And so, last but not least, up on our dark side of Hawaiian politics, exposing the Aina Mauna legacy corruption. This week, we have groundbreaking news. Mr. Bill Amalaya and the Department of Homeless Hawaiians have awarded Mr. Levi Rita and their ranching firms to access Hawaiian homes to take apart our food resources and sell it with a profit margin of 20% of the dollar goes to Hawaiian homeless beneficiaries on the land, none to the waitlisters, and the 80% goes to profit kako. This is deem your essential work. So we're going to put up two pictures that is going to lead up to 2019 with Milton Holt, ex-senator, busted for cocaine in the 90s, along with his sister, Kumufula, Vicky Holt Takamine, and you have Levi Rita sitting in the middle. When this picture pops up, Kako, this is the sign of disgust. This meeting was held in Kapolei. Mahalo to our families who went out there on request to watch it. They were trying to get the RP, the right of entrance to the Aina Mauna legacy, passed on Oahu early this year on the 19th, and they couldn't. So if you guys see this picture, Levi's with the jean shorts, and Milton Hall looks like he ate a spicy burrito, and then you see Kumufula sitting one space away, acting all casual on the right hand side. And then when we were up on Mauna Kea, a lot of our beneficiary trust council, Kanaka Rangers, Koakia'is, were slandered and accused on the left-hand side with crisis actor, who's that? Vicky Holt Takamine, and Mr. Kamara, standing there in front of everybody, trying to explain the Aina Mauna legacy to everyone and trying to make them agree with the plans that trees are supposed to be planted on Hawaiian homelands before Hawaiians. So on Mauna Kea, we were up there and we asked, as beneficiaries and Hawaiian Kingdom heirs, we wanted to access for our gathering rights. Article 12, Section 7 of the Hawaiian State Constitution ratified. And we were denied because of the 501c3 non-profiteers. all for one and none for all. We were sabotaged by the 501c3 kupunas who lived on the ala, who we explained the extensive relationship of exposures we have been conducting for the years through kupuna outreach and through on-the-job training, on-the-ground banging. We brought this information to our kupunas, and then we have the crisis actors, who are the government agents, Joseph Kamara, who wears his kihes and tell his lies and try to act like a civilian while they're on Mauna Kea trying to arrest Hawaiian nationals for asserting their national rights. So when we brought these things up to you guys, Kako, it's because these two pictures we're going to post up of Levi Rita, DLNR did not come out with the information yet, and they have been spotted. We're going on the 5th day already, knowing of animal cruelty, knowing directly that animals were tied to the trees, left there for over 3 days. They left a cattle to die without water or food. Mahalo to the families who went up there to check on them, because without it, these news you guys only hear from us, and the 501c3 profiteers continue to clog the airways when it comes to the truth. And that's why today we had to bring this late breaking news up, because with a pandemic and we can't get food, Levi Rita is allowed to fly inter-island every week without a 14-day quarantine. This individual flies all over numerous islands, is allowed to go up to Hawaiian homelands and conduct these businesses. And Kako, this is only one picture, Kako. Mind you, there's many, many more left. This ties goes to our non-profiteers, which the award needs to go out to for these crisis actors who continue to slander our families and our family names in the namesake of the federal titty money. Right. Just like how KP said. So these pictures that we're showing you, DLNR has their hands on them. So if you guys out there listening, I know you guys out there listening, go tap your uncle or your DLNR auntie and ask them, did you see a copy of this complaint? Do we know how much more other violations have occurred? Do we have a time frame during the COVID pandemic where all these animals are being left, just like how Kamara's family member, Kia Hawaii, did out in Kahiki Nui? Just take the back strap and just leave the rest behind. So you see, this is a trail of Department of Homeless Hawaiians continuing this trail down the islands, all on Hawaiian homelands, all on our crown lands, and this is what we must stop, Kako. We bring these pictures to you because we want the 501c3 to talk, not just go up there and criticize and be judgmental of the younger and the older Kanaka who are working and watching our resources during these time of pandemic. Mahalo again. I can't thank enough for the Koakiai who went up there, and she was a Manawahine who went up there, and they took these pictures and they reported it to DLNR. KP, what's your insight about this kind of gross neglect during the COVID-19?
Okay, so if you look at the whole situation, we got to go back to the source. 127 years of U.S. occupation, and for our Kanaka, sadly, there are breaking points for them. Mm-hmm. So sometimes they take the easy way out by actually accepting American milk. The American milk I'm talking about is the 501c3. Mm-hmm. You need to wean off of that. You cannot be dependent, because you have, if you continue to accept 501c3, it's like federal welfare system, and you're going to be, dependent on it, like on drug addict. You need that milk, that American milk, which you don't need, because if you look in the past of your kupuna, did they ever have any handouts? They did everything on their own. They stood on their principles. They knew who they were, Hawaiian subjects. And they went, even after all this, turmoil, they went to sacrifices. They stood on the principle of being a Hawaiian Kingdom subject. But now we have some of our people actually being so-called assimilated as Americans. Yes, maybe they know their culture, practices, but do they really know their political history and who they are?
And this is for Shimu Buruku, yeah? When we went, yeah? DJ Derbs, the other family members, we went down to Honolulu to urge them not to send the disease to our moku. And so they send Bill Isla's cousin, Levi Rita, to our moku and thinks that he can run with all these 501c3 kumufulas, yeah, who come up there with their non-profiteers, all for one and none for all mentality, right? That's been occurring for many, many milk seasons.
Right.
Just like KP said, the milk season is year-round, and these people are professional mana suckers. When we bring our truest intent and aloha, you get met with the rotten milk. And these non-profiteers, all for one and none for all, because I gotta say that, because this is the mentality when you're up on Mauna Kea. Yeah? Shimu Buruku guys allowed these people to come in, right? And so they've mismanaged it, not as Native Hawaiians, as Portuguese and non-natives, non-Hawaiian Kingdom nationals. That's what basically is going on, Kako. We urge you guys to hold these people accountable, yeah? During this time of pandemic, we cannot allow these non-nationals to go up Mauna Kea and steal our resources. Bill Amalaya comes up, because you got to remember, yeah? Kanaka Ole, yes, Ayao, they all were part of the Hui Nauivio Malama, right? And these are the ones that we informed about the desecration, about these things. But it was never followed up until now. We have our Kia'i, our Manawahines that are going up, and they brought this horrific pictures down, these horrific sightings.
Yeah.
And this is from Bill Amalaya, who everybody was asking to move on the side, hold the retreat, fire retreat, hold, right, DJ Derbs? And we said, how do we cease fire when we don't have a gun? They have a gun. We don't have a gun. All we have is our recordings, our phones, and our true intents. So by showing you these pictures today, yeah, Kako, sorry that we let it expand to show these kind of pictures, but we were denied access when we wanted to access for gathering, because we knew we wanted to monitor and malama. But when these were denied by Native Hawaiian 501c3s, non-profiteers, we had to question, why were we being canceled from going and getting our royal gifts that was left behind from Tutu Man? We couldn't even get to the royal gifts in the time of a pandemic. That means we were being pimped out for 20 cents of a dollar, Kako. And they're not even giving out data that they were supposed to do years already.
Yeah. So if you look, that's why even before all this situation happened, the Kanaka Rangers was up there. They was actually gathering data. Where were all these other people? They wasn't around.
But now that they talk about the trees, right? Go plant the trees. Look, they went plant a royal pipi to one tree. We had koa trees. We have these things set up. We wanted to plant trees, take some mea ai, and plant one kanaka simultaneously if we could.
Right. So
right?
they, what happened was they didn't use the excuse like, oh, we're going to plant trees. But once they got into the door, what they did? They taking our resources, the PP. They taking that as our resources. And more so, you have non-Hawaiians, non-Kanakas going up there and taking our resources. They have nothing to do with it.
Nothing.
The Kanaka is our benefit. Remember, this is the Hawaiian Kingdom. This is not America.
It's not America.
Okay, even under
the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act.
The Hawaiian Home Commission Act, 100 years. And from day one, always abuse, abuse, abuse. You know, for 100 years, what is the death list? How much Kanaka's waiting?
40,000.
Right? And yet you have non-Hawaiians going up there, taking our resources. You get non-Hawaiians leasing our lands. That's our lands for our benefit, not for these foreigners, resident aliens who come over here. And what? They actually have the benefit. They have more benefits than us. So we got to stop that.
Yeah.
Racketeer, Influence, and Corruption Organizations Act, RICO,
Right. So,
DHHL.
yes. So we need to expose people who actually, you know, is not helping to benefit our people. I don't care. If you're doing something wrong, regardless if you're Hawaiian or you're not Hawaiian, you're going to be exposed.
Yes.
I can guarantee you.
Yes, KP. DJ Derbs, your manao on this seasoned battle with these 501c3 non-profiteers, all for one, none for all.
Kamehameha the Great set our foundation for humanity, for one another. Passed away this week, 200 years. And then they come in the form of missionaries, secretly, to raise their children, to make them think that Hawaiians need to be American in assimilation programs. Now we have Hawaiians who believe they're Americans,
Right.
and actually violate Hawaiian Kingdom law because of the deeply rooted assimilation programs from the 1906 Americanization Patriotic Act that was implemented. So I am not surprised, but
Yes.
Kako, that's all of you out there that need to start to question and think about the dark side of Hawaiian politics to all of these organizations, because it goes all the way back. Remember, Mr. Dole, Kana'i Aupuni o ka Republika, even that, they take Kamehameha the Great's name and honor of uniting the islands and turning it into Dole, Mr. Dole, Sanford Dole, taking the country again, which in a way is kind of true, because that's what happened.
Because if
Kako.
you look at the foundation with Dole, okay, he wasn't a businessman. He was an insurgent. Even the American president called him an insurgent. So we use the word insurgent. So no, you know, no put icing on the cake. Just look through the whole thing. He is an insurgent, and part of the problem of the U.S. occupation. He is an insurgent, and during his foundation, you see the springboard. People continue to do what Dole did.
Yes.
You know, they actually creating fake news. They're not
Yes.
talking about the U.S. occupation. They're talking about, oh, everything's all right. This is actually part of the United States. You know, it's not. Remember that this is an occupation, ongoing occupation. So do not get confused with the American milk,
Yes.
with the American 501c3, Hawaii 501c3. Because
It's
once
done.
you take that, you're like an addict. For the rest of your life, you're chasing after that with other people. You don't need that. You know why? Because our kupuna never had 501c3. They stood on their principle. They stood on their own sacrifices. So don't tell me that you're successful when you're using 501c3. You're not. You're taking one handout.
And so, Ken Law Dog, if you out there, holla at your Kingdom Nationals. Holla at us. We need that kako. We need that expertise. We need your look, because this is what we were born to do too. As being the underprivileged orphans of this genocide, we're not law experts, but we do know when we're being violated. And when we're being violated, maybe we're not articulately savvy enough to file these complaints. But you know what? We are looking to Hanai, one of our legal analysts out there that believes in the injustice and the greater good that we're trying to accomplish. If you're not a 501c3, you're not sexy around here, right? If you don't have a college PhD, people don't look at you with credibility. But I still believe humanistic rights and federal laws still need to be maintained and balanced. So Ken Lawson, if you out there, brother,
Give us a holla.
give us a holla. We're looking for Hanai uncle out there, and believe me, we get good Hawaiian food out here in Moko Keawe. So you are welcome anytime up here to come and kuka with us and come and join our family, because this is what we need help for. Because as you can see, as the levels of corruptions increase, the higher the risk is. And so the more that we share, we want it to be for the greater good of our family members. Right, KP?
Oh, yes. Always. The front line is injustice, exposing injustice in the Hawaiian Islands.
Yes.
That's the forefront.
Shining the gas light. And
Oh,
there
yeah.
you guys have it for your smash and pass for this week. I know he was running on for a little gone for this one, but I believe that was an urgent one enough to bring you guys up to date onto our years of development. Yes, DJ Derbs, this is not an overnight come up. We've been on the Mauna. We've been living there. We have the data we've collected for over a year. So we have been putting in this exclusive and this extensive work. And that's why we felt urgent to compare and to show this data now, because DLNR could not be publicly open 5 days ago when they found the carcass. So that's why the Hawaiian Kingdom news was brought forward. And so our smash and pass is up. And for our constitutional oath breaker of the week, DJ Derbs, constitutional oath breaker
Kanaka
award.
Colonizer episode exposed. My award needs to go to the knockout blow to the Hawaiian family from Punahou School. Is my constitutional oath breaker because of over a century of indoctrination, assimilation, and brainwash that this is the state of Hawaii. Now I think President Obama, got that education and became the president.
Right.
The Americanization program. So Punahou is my constitutional oath breaker award winner this week for their knockout blow on the Hawaiian family, which is illegal and shouldn't happen. Kako.
KP, your nice award goes to who this week?
The oath breakers goes to our fellow Kanakas who sell out their own Kanakas for money.
For the oath.
Yeah, for the oath. Yeah. Shame on you. You know, your kupuna had stood strong, fast, against American occupation. And now some of you guys sell out. So this oath breaker goes to you.
Yes, KP, DJ Derbs, I like yours on. But as the Cornerstone said it, right? The constitutional oath breakers must go to the 501c3 nonprofit tiers, all for one and none for all, where they continuously suck that nipple year round and make sure that no other milk goes to no other ahupua'a. And when we bring forward the colonizers' violations, they continue to sweep it under the rug. And if that doesn't work, they make sure that they violate you.
Oh, yes.
So,
Yeah.
Kako, that is your constitutional oath breakers for this week and your Makahanaka Ike. Before we wrap it, aloha out of here, DJ Derbs.
Make that graduate feel special this year.
Hey, yo.
COVID 2020. Aloha out to the Hilo grads
The
out there.
champs out
Aloha
there.
out to the Konawaina grads and the Ehunui Kaimalino grads. And especially the Navahi or Kalanio Pu'u grads in this year 2020. And to all graduates across the Pai'aina. We need to make them feel special this year, because I think this is the first ever without that mass gathering. And I was just looking forward to piling on like 5 feet of lace, on my Ohanas this graduation season. But this came up, so support all of those graduates. Honk your horn, give them lays on that special day. Aloha, graduates 2020.
KP.
All right, I just want to give a shout out to all of our people for standing strong throughout all the years and helping each other out. It's the only way we're going to actually survive in a U.S. occupied state. So give a shout out to all of you guys for constantly standing up and calling out the occupiers and also the lapdogs among us.
Cellular enhancement, repairs, parts, accessories, and installations. 50 East Puanaco Street, 105 Hilo Hawaii 96720. Phone number 981-2559. This is for Jonathan Koshi, manager and repair technician. So if you got a cracked iPhone, I know you do, go ahead and check out Brother Koshi and get that fixed, because nobody wants to look at a cracked screen.
And
any more rapid alohas?
Oh, Rapid Aloha. Ka'oha Nui Wilson, shout out. Rapid Aloha to all of those schools. And Ka'oha Nui for graduating and being a state champ multiple times. And having family members across Moku o Keawe. So let's hui up Kako. 15 years taking down the American flag at a federal national park. I think he's the only one that holds that record. Ka'oha Nui Wilson, happy graduation.
All right. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Kanaka Kava. Today they'll be in the Prince Kohio parking lot right across the, Walmart service stations. Go check them out, or go and check them out on Facebook or Instagram. Kanaka Kava.
To all my Hawaiian nationals, continuing to apply that pressure, continuing to get violated, holomua, continue forward, hold them accountable, and stay safe. Moko Keawe, Darkside of Hawaiian Politics, Hawaiian National.
DJ Derbs with the Olelo.
This is episode 26.
KP, Ku, Aloha Aina.
Chee.
Aloha.